treble, the dream come true for you.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Football, bloody hell. But they never give in. And that's the winner.
Welcome to the American Red Devils podcast. I'm John.
I'm Alex.
And we're bringing you the best Manchester United news from this side of the pond.
Woo, sir. How we doing? It is the end of July. It is just around the corner from the EPL kickoff. We are 2 weeks out. Lots going on in Manchester United world. The boys are finishing up the U.S. leg of the tour. They are playing Dortmund today, Sunday, the 30th of July, in lovely Las Vegas. I'm sure it is nice and hot based on how hot it is in Northern California. And Manchester United are on the edge of finally signing a number 9. Not Harry Kane, not Erling Haaland, Rasmus Højlund, sir. He is a 20-year-old Dane.
Rasmus.
It's gonna take a minute. Yeah, we haven't even
Rasmus. That's not a hard one.
Rasmus.
Yeah.
Højlund. I'm gonna call him by his last name. He's our new striker, our only striker at the moment. I guess we have Tony Martial, but either way, excited about this one. There's gonna be a lot of talk about his fee for good reason. Paid over the odds for the lad, but we need a number 9. There are not a ton of number 9s on the market right now that fit the profile that the manager is clearly looking for, and at the same time, he's looking for a project. So excited about the Dane. Has a lot of raw talent, good size, good speed. He's a decent finisher. He's definitely not the finished article. He's going to need time. We're going to have to give him time, and that's my only issue. I don't even care as much about the overpayment, even though it takes away budget elsewhere, is that it's going to be hard for him to live with that price tag, because when you pay £65 million plus 10 on add-ons, you're going to expect 20 goals across all competitions minimum, and even that is going to be hard for a guy who's 20, doesn't only have 9 goals in Serie A last year. But either way, I am excited about him.
6'3",
hard as fuck. He looks hard as fuck.
Gets the Reds excited.
Got speed. He's 2-footed. He likes to take on a man. He's got good movement. He's got good mobility. He looks like a dog. So I'm excited about Højlund. We overpaid, but what do you expect? You have the Payet brothers sweating wherever they are. But either way,
Eric Ten
got
Hag
a
won
sign in and got 3 big signings in by the end of July. So I appreciate that, and that makes me think, the Glazers aren't selling, sir. Because if they were, I don't think they'd be getting deals in this quickly.
Well, look, the Dane coming in, I'm excited. I rate the player, again, price tag aside. I think he's a beast. He's got dog in him. You see the way, just the pace and how he attacks the box. The only other person I've seen finish like that, Erling Haaland, he wears light blue. I mean, like, it's true. You see the speed, the size, the intensity. He's got it all, but he's like a diamond in the rough. He's young. He's 20 years old. You're paying a little more for that potential. 9 goals in Serie A last season. We're going to see how he does. Big boost to Philly United. My main gripe is we don't have a 9. Now we have one, but he should really be second fiddle to a top tier Harry Kane, or, you can insert anyone who could lead the line like Vlahovic, who went to Juventus as well. This type of player is great behind someone who's currently doing it. The problem with United is we're a project of Eric Ten Hag, and we don't have somebody who's doing it at 9. Rashford, left winger, is kind of subbed in. We had Wout Weghorst, who didn't quite do it.
He'll do better than Wout.
So yeah,
he will definitely do better than Wout.
If you're talking about can he do better than Wout, yes, but I don't like young players who aren't given time. So if you just throw him in starting every single game and it doesn't happen for him, you can hurt his confidence. So I'm hoping we can get a loan deal or be clever with Harry Kane at the death of the transfer window. That way you give him the time to sort of get his boots on. That jersey is heavy at Manchester United. I think he can wear it. I'm a Muppet, so I think he's coming in and just like destroying the EPL from day one. But as is traditionally done, like Sir Alex, the best to ever done it, he would bring in a young kid behind someone like an RVN or an RVP you can learn from, and get him in the right places. Some easy teams, some easy games, build the confidence over time. But where this team is and where we are, like, he might not have it. We might need him to do it from day one. He's a confident Dane. I don't know if the Danish are as confident as the Dutch.
No one's as confident as
the Dutch are so confident, like Wout Weghorst, where you don't even have results and he's still confident, hitting the Anfield sign. Well, look, sir, it's that time of the year. I can't believe it. 15 days till we kick off against Wolves. Like you said, the best part about this is our transfer business is done early. I don't think I've ever seen that at United in the recent history. So this is huge. But United should be thinking about challenging. I don't know if the business that we've done to date will get us in the challenging conversation. So maybe there is some business that we could do late to do so.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is not a challenging team. You get Harry Kane, that's a different story. You add 30 goals in the EPL to this side. Yes, we have to challenge because he's going to justify the money, and he's the type of player that you're missing. Obviously, you can make some improvements in the right back position. We got to figure out McGlue, but either way, like the big thing that's missing in this side right now is goals. Højlund will bring goals. He will bring goals over time. We need to give him time. The Muppets outside these walls, outside these Manchester United 4 walls, they are going to be daggers out. Anytime we sign anyone, especially when we pay a lot of money over the odds of the comps, as you would say, sir, in the market, fans have their knives out. We got to protect the lad. It's going to take time. Look at Nunez. Look at any striker coming to the EPL, especially a 20-year-old who doesn't even, I don't think he has a full season under Serie A. He didn't have that many minutes. I think he had like 1,500 minutes. 1,800. So that's not really a full season.
He averaged 50 minutes a game. Zapata got injured, so he got some time.
Some fulls. So what I'm saying is, like, we need to give him time. The player has big expectations on his shoulder, and the big thing is that we need goals, and I think you need a lot more than Højlund. That's why I'm a little surprised that the guy that we're going after next is that kind of 6'8", I'm not going to bottle his name, Arambat, who could be a sub for Casemiro. They can play in a double pivot if we want to be more defensive. I would go after another striker. I'm actually shocked we are not going after another striker because every team in the world that's a top team has at least 2 good strikers. And Martial ain't the guy. Like you said, Rashford plays on the left wing. That's where he wants to play. That's where he's most effective. And Højlund is just not going to be enough. Even like if he has a great season, he won't be enough because he's not going to be Haaland. The expectation is unreal because Haaland's going to be a generational player. If he continues this way, he'll be the greatest striker of all time. So Højlund's our guy, but I think we need more. And I think, like you're saying, like if it's not Kane, then it's got to be someone else on a loan. Older, I don't care. Get a better Wout, an Odion Igalu kind of figure because we need more goals, and we were missing that last year. And even with Højlund, we're going to be missing it this year.
Bring back Odion Igalu. You heard it here, America Red Devils.
Did you hear what he said? He's in Saudi Arabia. He's
Bring him back.
We're playing for the money. He goes, we're here. We're playing for the money. Anyone else telling you anything differently? Dude, he's a good guy, and he scored great goals.
Bring back Odion Igalu. You heard it right here, America Red Devils podcast. Quick PSA for the podcast. If you like the Muppet Take, a.k.a. Odion Igalu FC, support us on Patreon. You can check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/America Red Devils. You should support us there. Keep the podcast ad-free. We turn down sponsors actively. Our Patreon members are the best, the creme de la creme. They keep the lights on at the podcast. Tons of benefits. Extra episode every month. Check it out. Easy way. For fans, by fans. Do it. Just do it, sir. AmericaDevils.com. Check out our blog, AmericaDevils.store. Scarves, shirts, you name it. Everything you buy supports this podcast. And also a big shout out to our new Patreon subscriber, Mike Hicks. You are the real MVP. Thank you so much, sir. Tell them about iTunes reviews.
Appreciate Patreon members. They go the extra mile. Lots of extra special benefits as well. So check that out. So thank you, Mike. And 5-star reviews of the America Devils wherever you listen. It's a great way to support the pod. Helps us get found organically. And we're giving away free scarves. All you have to do is write that 5-star review wherever you listen, but ideally on iTunes or Spotify. And then send a screenshot at AmericaRedDevils@gmail.com with your mailing address. And I will personally pack and ship a free ARD scarf, sent it right to your door anywhere in the world. Here's a great one from the Snowbird Best United podcast. These guys have rekindled my love for Manchester United. Appreciate that. They make every show entertaining by talking about what happened in the games before and what to look forward to. I feel like I'm sitting back and shooting it with my bros. Thank you, Snowbird. Thank you, everybody, writing those 5-star reviews. We appreciate you. It's hot. I'm sure it's hot where you are because it's been hot everywhere this summer. And you know what? It's getting hot in here, sir, because we got preseason right around the corner. And you know what? We're going to be listening to Champions League this year. Can you believe it? We're 2 weeks out. You know what that means? That means we're 2 weeks out from any given Sunday intro. Getting fired up in a couple of weeks when we do the intro for the Wolves game. But what does John have to say when it comes to his favorite time of the year? Preseason?
I'm a franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice.
John's a franchise player.
Listen, we're talking about practice. Not a game. We're talking about practice. Not a game.
Not a game.
Not the game that I go out there and die for and play every game like it's my last. Not the game. We talking about practice, man.
We talking about
I mean,
practice,
tell me
man.
what you like
Not the
We talking about
game.
practice.
Not a game that I go out there and watch every game.
Did
that
you love the
Manchester United
Wrexham?
play.
So you're saying you love the Wrexham game. So tell me about that cash grab.
I mean, I've never seen anything worse.
It made me sad, actually.
So it's not like I really pay attention. We're talking about practice.
This guy don't pay attention to practice.
Sir, as far as we watch a lot of Manchester United here, and
I watched
when
it
it
all.
comes to this many preseason games, and they schedule games back to back. We played Wrexham, the Hollywood FC,
Kids.
played all the kids, and this is something where I've never quite seen a preseason this crazy with travel. Imagine traveling with all these players. Usually, there's like way less of a roster traveling. It's way more serious, more first team action. This is literally a throwaway game done for money. We can get into 11. Bishop and net, Fernandez, Evans, Fish, Warado on the back line. Coiler, Gore, Shore, Tire, Medjbri, and Hansen, Aaron, and Hugel up front. Love the kids getting action, but something about this game said cash grab. Manager has to fly to Cali, San Diego, then go to play another game in Texas, then go to Vegas. So
They're working
there's a
our
lot
boy.
going on, and Ten Hag has to be burnt out here. Look, Wrexham did us 3-1. Rorado with the goal. But again, there was the red card, the punctured lung, if you will. But what are your highlights here from this Wrexham match, the cash grab?
Yeah, it was cash grab. It felt that way. You know, I think Ten Hag's trying to push back on all these games. He's apparently cut down certain commercial days. He's shooting shit down. They wanted more games. They wanted more like sponsorship things. But it was just the kids plus Evans. You know, there was a bad injury on the Wrexham side. Like our goalie Bishop came out, probably should have gotten sent off, to be honest. Came out of the box and like leveled their striker, gave him the punctured lung. That's where the manager of Wrexham, this nobody, had like some really kind of venomous.
Don't like to see that in
sting.
preseason, though.
No, you
know?
didn't. But he didn't mean to. It was clearly an accident. He felt bad about it. He said something after the fact. The Wrexham manager said something he didn't need to say. But then again, he's in League 1 or 2, so he'll get used to that. But for me, the big standouts were Hannibal and Fernandez. Hannibal, especially, like he has something. He stood out. Obviously, you're playing against a team that's leagues below a Premier League quality team, and he even played in the championship last year for Birmingham. But he was just like all over the pitch. Even when we went down to 10 men at the beginning of the second half, I think he shined. So depending on what happens to the midfield this year, like I would even give a sniff of Medjbri as just an option that could play 8 or 10 and go for another striker. But it seems like the manager wants to go for another midfielder. So what do I know? But either way, it was the kids. I think the big takeaway is like those two are ready to go loaned out to a Premier League side with the hope of them being able to join the team next year. But we'll see, sir. You know how it is.
I think the interesting part was who didn't play, and Kobe Mainoo did not, which means he was going to be playing against Real Madrid.
I guess like the most physical midfield you'll ever see. That midfield
Which is
insane.
You know,
Theirs, that is, not ours.
And so moving on to the game, and I've never seen back-to-back preseason games. Shout out #Glazers out. I mean, this is a cash grab. Fans from the United States too showing up in like droves in San Diego just to see kids. You have to think they don't tell you that.
That's a bummer.
Like when you're buying the tickets ahead of time, and we got emails. Steven emailed us about it. We've kind of talked about these preseason games where it's a roll of the dice. You don't know what you're going to get. You're like, oh, Wrexham, San Diego, let's go down there. And then all of a sudden, boom, kids. They don't advertise, hey, we're not playing any starters. They should. But again, that's kind of where the financial side comes across. And like, what's really good for getting United to beat Wolves on the 14th, right? That's what I'm interested in. And probably the 2 games in 2 days.
Real
the
Madrid
manager
is.
jetting around. But Ten Hag, it has to then travel. Like it doesn't. Ten Hag's not with the first team. He's jetting around. I just don't think this is helping United. This is, again, trying to balance the commercial with the footballing side. And look, the next day, Wednesday, was the Madrid game. 2-0. Jude Bellingham offsides. Scores early against Onana. Onana, who had his first start, looked amazing. Back 4, Luke Shaw, Martinez, Varane, Wan-Bissaka, Mainoo, Casemiro, Fernandez, midfield, Garnacho on the left, Rashford playing number 9, and Mason Mount on the right, which I thought was interesting.
Strong 11. And
But-
Mainoo in the starting 11. So that was the big shout out. And that was the real bummer of the day, was seeing him go down in the 3rd minute with like an innocuous one where someone rolled over his ankle. He was off. Now he seems he's going to be out for the first couple months of the season. But that would have been a great test for him because they brought in Eriksson and he just got, it was like the City final. It was like you couldn't keep up with the Camavinga and Bellingham because they have such athleticism and they're such good players.
He looked out of shape in the FA Cup final in early June. Looks out of shape in preseason.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Eriksson fan, but fitness, or maybe the Dane just in the summer heat. I don't know. But
he did look that way at Brentford beginning of last season with the cheek sweats. You talk about still, sir.
People are going to be taking jabs at Eriksson, but pre-injury, pre-Andy Carroll, who didn't get a red for that tackle, he was lights out. Eriksson was. I feel like these types of players, as they age, it takes them longer to get fit. Once they are, they maintain it, but I think Eriksson's going to be fitness. But this game, 2-0, Bellingham offsides, and then the kind of bicycle kick in the 89th minute. But what are your key takeaways here from Madrid?
I mean, like you said, it was a bummer about Mainu. Onana, I think it was great to see his distribution. That was exciting. That is why we signed him. Total change in play. So, his link up, his comfort on the ball, that was great to see. That back four, I think that's the starting back four that we're going to be going into any game this season. Rashford should not be playing up front. I mean, maybe this is because the midfield wasn't really clicking. We didn't produce that much when we did have the ball. We gave the ball away. We were a little sloppy with it. But I thought Casemiro showed his class during this game. Bruno was absent because he was put on the wing. I don't like when he's been put on the wing in the past. So the manager had Mount at 10. Bruno's out wide. And Bruno can play anywhere. Bruno can play goalie. He can play striker. He can play center back. But playing on the wing, and he's one of the best 10s in the world, I just think he's going to do us a disservice. I'd rather play Mount out wide or put Sancho in instead of Mount or something. The big takeaway was we need a striker. Once again, we created chances. We looked good. We had some direct play. I thought we built up really well from the back with Onana, but we had no one finishing up front because Rashford was getting squashed by their center backs, and we still need goals on this side.
Well, here is the deal. XG for United 1.58, 1.56 to Madrid.
Like I said,
Ten Hag after the match talking about we need to take our chances. Everyone knows about our goal scoring record last season. Created a ton of chances. We were second in the league in home XG, sixth in the league in away XG, third total.
Not
so
bad.
if you look at the XG overall, we did finish third, but just not taking our chances. You want to be scoring more. Like Madrid, scoring 2 but having 1.5 XGs because you got some ruthless strikers on your team, some sharp teeth. Jude Bellingham, another player United could sign for 30 to 40.
There's a whole 11 of that.
Could have signed him for 40 million.
Yep.
Went to Dortmund. Could have signed Holland for 3 million. Then could have signed him for 60 million. Again, these players get away, and then you start seeing them excel somehow. It's a tough one to see, Jude Bellingham at Real Madrid just tearing it up because, again, United could have used him.
Yeah. These players are generational, especially Holland. I think
whiffing.
Bellingham, yes, of course, but Holland, bro, it's he's going to torment whoever he plays against for the next decade. Because I don't see that big fucker getting injured. He's just
He's going to leave. He's going to go to Madrid.
No, he'll leave, but he'll still be a pain in the ass because you have to play him in Champions League because they'll be at Real Madrid. And then when you go play them, he'll go bag a hat
Sir,
trick.
we have other problems than winning the Champions League. I hate to
know
break
that.
it to
I'm
you.
just saying, but that is our goal. We want to be the best team in the world. We're a long way from that. But yeah, that's the problem. It's not only make your team stronger and you miss out on that talent, but the ones that get away, they just keep punishing you year after year.
Well, Erik ten Hag had a media scrum yesterday. Thought we would check in with the manager on, everyone kind of getting to go at him.
They're working
Simon
him hard.
Stone,
You're
they're
right,
working
sir.
him hard.
He looks tired, bro. They have been working him overtime.
This man doesn't take any days off. Erik ten Hag in Vegas, pre-Dortmund fixture. What do you got?
I think the levels all across increased immense, and that was necessary. But still, we are not there where we want to be, and we have to raise the bar. So we have to go to next levels.
And then just to finish off, what in this last year have you picked up from English football?
Oh, you learn always, and I think English football also every time evolves. And I think you see nowadays the league is stronger and stronger. When you compare it with 3-4 years ago, it's definitely the case. Because all the strong players get attracted to the Premier League. All the best managers got attracted to the Premier League. So every time it develops and it progressed, and it's really a challenge. And really looking forward again to go in the season and to get the challenge.
Do you think Manchester United that you inherited was the one you expected? Was there anything that you didn't think you were going to encounter that you did encounter last year?
Oh, there are always surprises, but again, sometimes positive surprises and negative surprises. And as a manager, you have to deal with it, and you need it managed in the situation, and you have to act in the actuality.
I mean, it felt as though the first few months of your time was dominated by Cristiano Ronaldo. It feels as though the first few months of this season might be dominated by Harry Maguire. I know you've spoken about him a lot. How do you go about keeping him as part of the group, making him positive on the group? Because he's obviously got vast experience and knowledge of English football and Manchester United and the international game.
I don't see it like that, but you can have that impression. That's your choice. But not last year, not this year. And we are building. We are building a project. We want to win trophies, and so we have to invest in the way of play. We have to invest in the team, and our focus is not on one player.
You said you've still got a way to go. How far do you think you've got to go when you consider that you played Manchester City in the final game of your season and you know what they did? They are obviously the standard to aim for. How far have you got to go?
Yeah, I think last season proved we can beat any opponent, and we proved in the season and that we don't have to fear any opponent, but also it proved we can't do it on consistency base. So that is the step we have to make. If you want to go forward, we have to be more consistent.
And can I just ask you one more? And it's been a big issue for football over the summer, has been the investment that's come into the game from Saudi Arabia and the number of players and the type of players.
All right. Look, this is a great little scrum. I'd suggest if you're a full Muppet, you want to listen to the whole thing. Ten Hag talks a lot. Beginning, he talks about Højlund, plays coy, can't talk about him. Obviously, Simon Stone kind of talking about Saudi Arabia. He said it doesn't really matter. But then he goes into kind of why United didn't perform well. And he's defending his boys. He kind of goes the performance angle. We didn't have the fitness to go the distance, etc. Didn't talk about the quality, which I thought was interesting, because if you look at what Wout Weghorst was doing, United clearly needed more quality. Ten Hag not going that direction with the press. Put him in the dark. Feed him shit. I mean, that's probably what his motto is with the press. But a great 10-minute media scrum where he touches on a lot of different topics. 15 days to go. United got 3 big bodies in, and we got Dortmund tonight, 6 p.m. Pacific. We're recording before that. Then we have Lens. We return to the other side of the pond Saturday, August 5th, 4:45 a.m. Pacific.
I'm good on that one.
Not getting up. I don't wake up at 4 in the morning to watch preseason.
Yeah, I'm good on Lens.
We'll finish it up August 6th, 8 a.m. against Athletic Club. I bet you Ten Hag gets some behind closed doors for a game that week as well, as is tradition. And then Wolves, big game, noon Pacific. Play for keeps, gotta win. Playing at home. And you got to start with a win because you're going away to Tottenham on the 19th. So you got to start off strong against Wolves. That has to be a must win for me. Obviously, first game, you got to win it, but it's at home. Everything's set up for you. And we made some improvements. We beat them when we traveled towards the end of last season. And the expectation is going to be to win at home. I can't believe it's almost 2 weeks away. But, sir, let's get into the news. United in the news. Summer doldrums, plenty of news. Manchester United take over with an update next week, ? This comes from Sky Cave. He doesn't know anything. This dope on Sky Sports who talks super serious.
He's getting Fed stuff from Qatar.
He's getting it from Qatar.
Clearly. But he's been wrong because Qatar hasn't closed shit yet.
So, the way he kind of alluded to it in the full interview, you can find it online. It's sad I have to watch this stuff, but the guy has no news. He has nothing on the inside. So when you look at sources, right, Romano's coming directly from United, right? He's being briefed by United. Cave's being briefed by Qatar.
Yep.
He's told there's going to be an update on the bidding process. And so it's not like Qatar's going to win. Qatar is this. If Qatar was hot to trot, he'd be giving you everything. So it sounds to me like sale process is cooled off. There could be an update, a.k.a. they're not going to sell, a.k.a. they're going to raise $1 billion from some private investment fund in the United States. There will be a strategic announcement on the future of United probably before the season, I would imagine. And it could be an investment, could be debt, could be a lot of different thing, and we don't know. So when it's announced, we will let you know. I imagine it's going to be one. I'm expecting it's going to be a billion voices cry out in pain all at the same time.
In silence.
Like that's literally like how I feel. It's going to be everyone's going to be like
They're not selling.
they're taking $1 billion and they're going to do some like South Stand remodel and it's going to be more of the same. Richard Arnold, LOL. And we'll get into all this later, but it's horrible. This to me, you can sign Onana, Højlund, and Mount. But if the Glazers stick around, nothing matters. The expectations aren't changing. Top 4 FC, that's where we're going to be, and
we're going to stay there.
Yes. Because
we are top 4
Super
FC.
League. They're going to push for the Super League. If they stay,
Yeah, they are the original masterminds of the Super League. Remember.
well, if they stay, they're staying for that. I mean, if there's going to be no Super League in the future and it's just going to be this yo-yoing Champions League revenue and everything they're dealing with, they would sell. But with Super League on the horizon, that's how you tier up and level up the $1 billion, multi-billion-dollar valuations.
Because then it is worth 10.
NFL,
Right?
And we talked about that last pod with the $6 billion sale of the Washington Commanders. And United not being able to hit that price, and like they talked about adding a 39th game, playing the fixtures in New York. It's all coming. This is all coming. I don't want it. I'm a purist. You play the 38. It's all in England. It's done home and away. That's how it should be. But money, they're going in the direction of money. That's the way it is. You look at the valuations they're paying for players, how much players are making. It's coming. Salary cap, Super Leagues, guaranteed revenue. If they stay, they're staying for that. And who could blame them? Because not that many people came out of the woodwork and no one wanted to pay the price. No one wanted to pay the $6 billion. So if Qatar wanted to pay what they wanted, Qatar would be the owners. And if they said no, then that's how it works. That's how a sale process works.
And that could be the difference. It could be half a bill. It could be a full bill. We heard they got the £5 billion. They want £6 billion.
Half a yard, as they say.
Half a yard. It could be £500 million. That could be the difference. But it does feel, for a combination of reasons, mainly because of how long it's dragged out, even without an announcement around a preferred bidder. They're staying around. They're going to do a minority deal. I also think based on the fact that they're spending quite a bit of money for the Glazers, like we've talked about this a lot, the Glazers do not spend this amount of money. We're up to 150 net if you take in a Longa sale and plus the 65 for Højlund. They don't spend that kind of money unless they miss the Champions League. We already missed the Champions League last summer, spent good money, and they're doing it again, which makes me think they're trying to woo
It's not
the
cash
fans
out the
over.
door, right? It's not guaranteed that Højlund could be 6 years structured.
No, but even still, I'm just talking about we're talking about structuring deals and year-to-year impact. I'm just talking about the overall number. The number hasn't been this high in seasons where we went from not finishing in the Champions League
spent
to
the
finishing
same.
the Champions League.
We're getting to Ole territory. Like Ole over 2 years spent close to Ten Hag's almost at 480 million euros. Ole was given that, and so we're kind of in that tier. But that was trying to turn the tide. I think
the quality of the signings, right? Like he spent 80 million on Harry Maguire, who's worth 40.
No, I think they're backing Ten Hag, and
As
they're
they
not
should.
taking the summer off. They could stick around, and we'll wait for the announcement.
But
The
let me
announcement's
make my
gonna be
one
it.
point, which is that the Wolves game I can see the Wolves game getting postponed because if they announce they're going to stay, then there will be a giant protest on Monday night at 8 p.m. and they'll probably shut the game down, and it'll be difficult to play. And all of a sudden, that actually blows a hole in your season because we learned With the Queen passing last year, United got fucked more than anybody. We got 2 games postponed, and that ended up biting us in the ass in the spring when all of a sudden we never had a midweek off. So keep this in mind. I think it could be coming down the pipe. It's been too much. There hasn't been any news for literally when was that Bloomberg article? 6 weeks ago about a preferred bidder, and then it was completely quiet. Plus the fact that we are, like I said, we are spending money makes you think they ain't going nowhere. So more Glazers, and everything we're about to talk about on this pod is a byproduct of the Glazer ownership. So if we complain about how we're overspending, which we have, I agree with you. It's because the owners put in place John Murtaugh and Richard Arnold, who are not qualified to run a top-tier club in the EPL. But that's another story.
No, it's hard. If the Glazers aren't moving on, this is a hard L to swallow because sale processes like this don't come around every year.
No.
This has been it started in February, March, I want to say.
Announced in November.
And fine, announced in November. I said 9 to 12 months to sell it. Here we are, and they're not going to do this for another 5 years, and there's going to be a Super League in between, or some crazy restructuring of how the Premier League TV rights is done, or guaranteed revenues, or a salary cap, or something. So this is a tough one. I'm nervous. It'll be a sad day regardless, but we don't know, and we don't know until the press release comes out, and we'll get it before the season. That has to be part of their communication, I would imagine. And another tough news before we get to the good news. Kobe Mainu to miss the start of the season. He has been awesome during preseason. This is like we talk about practice. The one good thing about practice is that usually a youngster like this comes up, and he looked to be featuring for the first team. I mean, he was great, sharp in the midfield, just absolutely razzle-dazzle everywhere. And then for him to go down, tough, but he is young. He'll bounce back. Preseason has been all about him. This is basically the one player I could see coming into the first team doing some real damage in EFL. We're not in the Europa League anymore, so I can't say that.
Hey, but he'll get minutes, right? We don't know what our group's going to be.
He will get minutes. He will get minutes.
It's
just tough.
It's a bummer to see. He's had a terrific preseason, even though it is preseason. You do get an opportunity to play against some top teams. We played against a pretty strong Arsenal side that was basically as strong as they could field, and he looked to be one of the best midfielders on the pitch. So the player's got a bright future. He is built like a man, and he just turned 18. He's very calm on the ball. He's strong. He can pick a pass. And that will. I don't know how that's going to change the impact of the summer in terms of the next transfer up, because we're going to talk about Højlund in a second. But everything we're hearing about is another midfielder. Maybe that's because of Kobe going down, but we'll talk about it in a minute. I think we need more goals in the side, even beyond our new 20-year-old Dane.
All right, let's get into it. Højlund, number 9 for Manchester United, the first young and up-and-coming number 9 we've signed since Tony Martial.
Can you believe that?
English press said he had
18
no
years
chance.
ago? 8 years ago, we bought him in 15, and it's been 8 years since we bought a young striker.
Oh, yeah, under LVG, scored that amazing goal against Liverpool. Had a really good season for us. Couldn't get the consistency for us and the national team. But again, another young, upcoming striker, Rasmus Højlund, the 20-year-old Danish striker. He has agreed to a 5-year deal plus 1 option for United, 75 million euros plus 10 million euros in add-ons. Atlanta wanted 90 million. We gave him 85.
We couldn't even get 10% off. Couldn't even get 10. We got 4% off.
We don't have a lot of leverage here. We need a striker. The manager made this call. Erik ten Hag wants him. We got him. There are lots of good things about him. I'm pumped. I think he's a dog. If you look at the highlights, the way he attacks the ball in the box, the strength, the pace, everything about it reminds me of only one man.
Don't say it.
It's true.
Don't say it.
It's true.
Because they're both they look the same.
6'3". He's a unit. He's
he'll get stronger. He'll add more muscle on.
Look.
He's a raw talent. Go ahead.
So today, Romano, latest update. So the deal was agreed. That was per Ornstein. in the Athletic as far as the deal terms are concerned with Atalanta.
Tier 1.
Romano comes through today. Manchester United will start preparing documents and paperwork today in order to get Haaland deal signed and sealed early next week.
Hoyland, not Haaland.
Hoyland.
That will not be the first. I hope, you know what? I hope he makes us mistake his name all the time because he's just
Hoyland
so fucking
spoke
good.
more than 3 times to Erik ten Hag, and he's ready to sign until 2028, plus an option through 2029. I think he has the promise to be a top European striker. But what do we know? We are a bunch of Muppets.
Correct.
But the good news is I studied abroad in Denmark.
We got scouts
One
everywhere.
of my best friends and friend of the pod, Freddie the Dane.
AC Milan fan. We've had him on before.
He's come on the pod.
Legend.
We meet him in Europe to go to some games. He's an OG. He's a fan of the Danish national team. He watches Serie A. We asked him to give us a scouting report. And you can just hear our boy Freddie wax poetic about his boy Rasmus Højlund. Freddie, what do you got to say here?
Hello, gentlemen. Quick update here in Man U's new signing, Rasmus Højlund. I would say the first thing that comes to my mind is simply the word powerhouse. I think at the age of 20, you look at the physics of this young guy, right? You look at the YouTube clips, and what you see is a rough diamond, right? Fast, technical, gifted, super strong, especially at his age. He's tall as well, given the physics to compete with the defenders in the Premier League. I think that's going to be interesting to watch. He can shoot both within, close to the box, and then I think, you know, when you look at some of the power that he brings into the shot, it kind of resembles of a Kane to some extent, right? So joint top scorer at the age of 20 on the Denmark side already. In fact, with Lukaku, which is quite funny, right? Looking at the prices they've been dealt with. So I would say it's a lot of raw talent that is inbound for Man United. And then I would say, for those who does not know the Serie A or any see that many games from there, he's coming from a very technical, gifted side in Serie A. So that means that he used to doing high pressure, quick passing, which actually adds a lot of pressure on the way that you play as an attacker, right? So he's not only a box player, but he also has to go back home and defend, and also the ability to move like, full court with the ball and dribble a couple of defenders. So that's going to do him good in the Premiership. And then I think, it's important to see what was it actually that he was up against in the Atalanta, right? He was playing against Duvan Zapata. He was playing against, competing with Luis Muriel. And if you look at those two guys, you look at the stats of those two guys together with Lookman, then you'll see that, if you can play that many games, bring that many goals, do those kind of assists at the age of 20, competing to guys like that, then you definitely have something within you. So I have no doubt that this guy will do a lot of good stuff during his time in Man United. But I think that people also have to be wary about the fact that he's only 20 years old. I think the biggest challenge for him, besides adapting to the Premiership, adapting to a new way of playing football, new teammates, new life, all those kind of things, is also that he had one tremendous good season at Atalanta, but nothing more than that. So you can always discuss, would have been worth maybe keeping him in Atalanta side for one more season and then bring him to United? Maybe, maybe not. I'm thinking that Ten Hag knows exactly what he's doing and how he's supposed to handle him, right? You have to give this guy credit for what he's done with the United side. And I think looking at his history, looking at the Ajax side that he's been dealing with, the philosophy they play with, this is a guy he likes. This is a technical, a strong guy who will resemble a lot on how you play in Ajax. And I think that will probably mean the world to Rasmus Højlund also. But congrats. I think, in Denmark we have a lot of Man United fans. And for sure now there's going to be even more of those without a shred of doubt. And I think it's going to be interesting to see him. I'm looking forward to seeing how much playing time he's actually going to get, right? How much time is he going to get from the very beginning? But I'm hoping they will give him some patience. I hope they'll give him some playing time, because at that age, that young, feeling how strong he is and self-confidence he is right now, you put him to the bench for too long, you only sub him, I fear that might bring him down. So I really, really genuinely hope that they will play him for a lot of minutes, especially in the very beginning. But will be fascinating to see him. Also, it's kind of funny to see him and then Haaland on the blue side of the city, right? Then you have two Scandinavians in the front line. So that's going to be a pretty epic battle.
All right, that was Freddie, the Danish scout, aka the Danish Zidane, coming up in the game. He has a lot of footballing experience in Europe, and you heard it. What else is there to say? Powerhouse. But he's young. You got the responsibility. He's like, please, he's a national treasure. Take care of him. Build his confidence. He has one good season. Freddie talked to me about this a lot. Maybe he needs another year at Atalanta. Maybe you buy him, you loan him back. I just think we're a little desperate. Yeah. Does it make sense for him to be the only guy next to the Martial made of glass? Probably not. But look, he's a powerhouse. You heard it from Freddie. What else is there to say? I'm absolutely buzzing on this player. The size, the power. I mean, everything. He's got everything. Højlund, not Holland.
That mistake will
Rasmus
happen.
Højlund.
I appreciate you, Freddie. We miss you. That was amazing. Better technical analysis than we can provide, especially with you as a Serie A fan, as a Dane. I'm super excited about Højlund. I'm excited because I love a number 9. My first favorite player, still my favorite player, was a number 9 who turned into a 10 in Wayne Rooney. Loved RVP. Even like Big Luke before he went sour, because this team has always been built on having a number of great number 9s up front. And that's part of the Manchester United identity, even since Dennis Law, and then having in late 90s, having York and Cole and obviously Solskjaer and Sheringham, and unbelievable stuff. And this team has been crying out for it. It's the most underinvested position in this side, and it probably even is still after Højlund and all that money being spent on him, because we need multiples. We've been doing all these loan deals, these older players, right? We did Cavani, we did Ronaldo. Before that, we did Igalu. It was just a lot of loans of aging players. And we paid over the odds for Højlund, no doubt, but at least we're buying upside. He is not the finisher article today. He might not become any. He might, the league might be too much for him, but at the end of the day, he also might become a hell of a player who if you score 20 goals in the EPL season, and I don't think he'll do it this year, and I don't think he'll do it next year, but if you could do it in year 3 and do that consistently, then the price tag is no big deal. But it's a big price tag to live up to. But he's got a lot of potential, and we need to give him time because there are going to be knives out. I was saying this. We're a different club than everybody else. There is no other club like Manchester United, because if you're not a Manchester United fan, you hate Manchester United, and we got to protect our own, and he's going to be a player to protect because he's young, and a goal scorer is only measured on goal scoring. So it's it's binary. It's either good or bad, and that'll be based on the number of goals he puts in the back of the net. So give the lad time. I think he'll get minutes. The one concern that Freddie voiced was will he get enough minutes? I think he's going to get plenty of minutes because we have no one else really other than Martial, who it's going to be his last season at Manchester United before they let him leave for free. Unless we got Kane in a last-minute deal, and all of a sudden he's second in the totem pole. He's going to play all the time, right, sir?
Well, the best part about Højlund is he's only plays one position as number 9. You talk about how we discussed ruining Elanga, put him on the wing, put him at 9, couldn't find where he went. You keep shuffling him around. I think confuses him more. He is a 9, playing internationally for Denmark, doing very well. Like Freddie said, hitting numbers like Lukaku, doing well in Serie A as a youngster, as only 20 years old. So I think we just have to build upon that. Also, trust in Erik ten Hag. He got his man. He knows what this kid has. He's a dog. He's going to work hard off the front. He's going to do everything he can to put the ball in the back of the net. I feel the intangibles, the hype is there. Him wearing red, wears red for Denmark. He's also got Eriksen on the squad, going to help him get used to it in United. I think everything about this signing, like you said, the intangibles, the upside, I'm buzzing about this at United. I just am concerned not having somebody else, not having a veteran ahead of him who's already leading the line, who can kind of help him get into it a little bit. That way there isn't too much pressure. But sink or swim. Yeah, this is Manchester United. It's a big money deal. 75 million euros. We're going to talk about that. So who is Højlund? What do the numbers say about him over the last year? We're going to look at goals per 90 minutes. Everything here is broken down per 90. So everything is adjusted to the 1,800 minutes he played. He played 1,800 minutes across, I think, 30 games, around 57 minutes a game, so quite a lot. Zapata got injured, which is kind of how he got in. He did have 4 games in a row scored. He got hot. 9 games in Serie A, 0.44 goals per 90. That's the 58th percentile. He had quite a lot of games, quite a lot of minutes, and on a per 90 adjusted basis, 58th percentile across all forwards in the top 5 leagues in Europe. Not too impressive.
He's 20.
I'm just
trying to
look. We don't need to get defense. I'm calling balls and strikes
both
here.
Sides he is 20. He's not the finished article.
I'm calling literally balls and strikes. This is what the numbers are saying. XG, we're getting better. 0.47. He's in the 70th percentile. That's strong for a 20-year-old. Non-penalty XG. Again, he doesn't take penalties. 84th percentile. That's what we're paying for. That's what you're looking at. You're looking at in the run of play, he's creating XG at the 84th percentile in all 5 leagues in Europe, and he's only 20. And that could go to 90. And you know what? That's rarefied air. That's what we're looking at paying. If you're looking at non-penalty XG per 90, Højlund has 0.47. Haaland has 0.75. Callum Wilson for Newcastle leading the line, 0.72. Nunes, 0.64 last year in a bad year. Jota, 0.52. Martial, 0.57. João Felix, right in line with Højlund, who played for Chelsea last year, didn't have a good season either, 0.47. So again, these are the names he's already going to be competing against, and look at the level of where he's coming out. Goals per 90, he's 0.44. Haaland's at 1.17. Insane. Callum Wilson leading line for Newcastle, who we're going to be competing with, 0.86. Harry Kane, 0.79. Rashford, 0.53. He's already in that Rashford category. Look at Nunes, 0.48. He's already close to the striker for the Scouse Bastards, and we expect that to improve with Mount and Bruno and everyone creating all the chances behind him. Looking at the goal and shot creation picture for him, shot creating actions per 90 minutes, 2.75. He's in the 72nd percentile. The most interesting stat that he leads the line on is the successful take-ons that lead to shots, 84th percentile. He likes taking on a man in the final third and getting a shot off. This is where he's excelling, right? He's not excelling with passing. Goal-creating actions, 38th percentile. If you look at someone like Haaland, Haaland's up there, obviously very high in the 80th percentile because goal-creating actions would be passes or take-ons that are leading to goals. He's very low there. His passing ability, he's good at long passes, but if you look at United and how he want to play, he's got to improve here in this goal-creating actions. This is pretty low. So what type of player is he? He's going to put his head down. He's going to take on a man. He's going to try to score goals. We've seen the highlights. That's who he is. He's going to try to get into the box, try to finish. He's not really setting it up. You look at Haaland. Haaland has he's much older, much more experience. He's able to make that killer pass, make the assist as well. I think this is part of Højlund's game he's going to have to work on and part of the upside that we're going to get. And also another stat that he excels at, which is essentially fouls that lead to goals, which means he's getting fouled close to the box, free kicks or penalties, right? He's going to tee up Bruno on the penalty spot. He's going to tee up Mason Mount, who's a free kick. Mason Mount and Eriksen, both pretty good, and Bruno have free kicks. He's in the 94th percentile at fouls around the box that then lead to goals. So just showing you where he excels as a youngster. Obviously, we're buying him for the upside, but you can see miles off of certain players like the actual Haaland, who's going to be wearing light blue. Lots of areas to improve, and he's already excelling in critical areas. But just looking at the numbers, last 365 days for the young Dane.
Very impressive stat analysis, sir. I think that's very helpful to show where he's at, where his compatriots are at. Obviously, I think Haaland's another level. He's not even a normal striker like a Callum Wilson or even a Kane, who's going to be most likely the top scorer in the EPL in history. He'll be a generational talent. If he doesn't get injured and he keeps this up, he'll be the greatest striker in the history of football. But it's good to know where he lies on that because we could have bought him twice and we didn't. And that's not the point. Now
he's
bought
easily
Højlund.
99th percentile on everything.
Yeah, because he's going to, like I said, he's going to be like the Messi of strikers. Literally. He's going to be the greatest of all time if he continues this. And Haaland, we're buying him for the player he can become. Now we paid a price.
Højlund.
I'm telling you, it's going to be a fucking problem. Haaland, Højlund, our boy Højlund, we bought him for the player he can become. He's a middle of the range player. He comes out like a Rashford or Martial. Obviously, Rashford plays on the wing, and Martial has good stats, but he only played half the season because he's always injured and always has different injuries. It's like paying top dollar for a piece of property in a neighborhood that's up and coming because you're like so convinced that it's going to be an awesome neighborhood in 3 years. But that's the Manchester United way. Like even this summer where we've done a little bit better, we always pay between 20 and 50% over market value. Like look at Martinez. We paid £57 million. They just traded Ajax just sold his Timber for £35 million. So it's like that just speaks to how other teams are able to do deals. Arsenal have built a pretty good front office over the last 5 years because they knew that was a weakness for them. We have not. They are better than Woodward, but they are not even in the top 5, even the top 10, bro. They're like bottom 5 in terms of competency. And that's why we continue to overpay. And when you overpay, there's less left after the fact. If you'd gotten him for 45 plus 10 instead of 65 plus 10, you could use that 20 to go get another midfielder, right? Like
maybe a right back.
Maybe get a right. We need another striker. I would go for a 30-year-old striker because we need goals, man. And there's gonna be a lot of games. He's gonna get plenty of minutes, but you're not gonna be able to play him 50 games a year and get 25 goals out of him.
Well, he is young, so you're expecting like production. Look, I think I'm very bullish on Højlund. I'm very bullish. I don't think he's going to be Haaland in a year or this season. Or ever probably. But I really am bullish on this player. I like the profile. I like the fit with Erik ten Hag. I like everything about it. So sometimes you got to pay over the odds. There aren't a lot of other options as well. We can discuss that point. Like just getting the brass tacks on what we paid and looking at the comparables, right? So you mentioned the house analogy, but coming from investment banking, you look at companies and you're always marking to what traded and for how much. So looking at last year in 2022, there were 2 strikers that traded in the region of 75 million euros. Actually, Vlahovic went to Juventus for 70 million euros plus 10 million euros, right? We just paid 75 million euros plus 10 million euros for Højlund. And Vlahovic, he scored 21 goals in the season prior, and he was bought in January. And in that half a season, he scored 17 goals, right? So the market of the top 5 leagues we're comparing in Europe, the market for a striker, someone who's scoring 17 goals in a half a season, it was 75 million euros. Nunez was purchased by Liverpool for 75 million euros up front, plus 25 euros in milestones. He had 34 goals for Benfica. So just last year, 75 million euros up front, plus 10 to 20 million in add-ons. That was getting you 20 plus goals, an elite striker proven in the top 5 leagues in Europe. And now we're paying that for a prospect. That is definitely setting a new valuation. I wouldn't be so concerned with the price if we don't have a decade of overpaying and doing bad deals. Right. You look at the net spend, us to City, it's virtually the same. I think City's even coming out better now because they're selling for profit versus United. We have not been able to get good deals in the market, but whatever, it's the Glazers' money, screw it. It drags us down. You look at 500 million spent, and we still are lacking in certain areas of the squad. If you shave 10, 20% across that whole board, you're looking at a full squad. So a lot of this goes on the Glazers. Erik ten Hag is working with what he has, but our ability to find and make good valuations in the transfer market is tough. We sell low. We're buying high. We're putting Vlahovic was cheaper.
He was.
17 goals in the first half of the season. Juventus got him. He hasn't performed. And here's the thing.
Cheaper.
He hasn't performed well.
Yeah.
Nunez didn't perform that well for Liverpool, but these are players that are hitting big numbers. And that's why Harry Kane deserves more of a premium because he's more consistent than Vlahovic and Nunez, right? So you even have like another tier of striker, I would argue. But in the current market where Osimhen's 150, where maybe last summer he was 100, things are crazy. Valuations are going nuts, but we got our boy. I just have to comment on what this valuation purchased over the last 365 days. And looking at it, we're setting a new market. The prospect Sesko traded for 25 million euros. I think it was quoted 50 million to United, but he has not everyone was hot on Sesko last summer.
He cooled off.
He cooled off big time.
Yeah, he did.
And I want to say he had similar production to what Hoyland has now.
Yep.
So we're paying a lot of money for not a long track record, and there's risk that goes with that. Obviously, as a Muppet, I'm all in on this guy. I think he's going to score 20-plus goals next year, given what we have. I'm all in, baby.
What are the fans
But, it's just one of those things where you're paying a lot of money and there's not a lot of a track record there, and you're going to be look, our fans, we tweeted out how many goals you think he's going to score. 0 to 10, 15.9%. 10 to 15, 51.7%. 16 to 20, 23.8%. And the rarefied Muppets who think he's going to score more than 28.6%. Look, we got reasonable fans. They say 10 to 15.
I mean, that's pretty good.
I said all comps, too.
Yeah, all comps.
But if our number 9 only scores 10 to 15 goals, all comps, where are we finishing? At the end of the day. Yeah. And so that's kind of what we can expect. I think he's in a different class. I think he's in a class of elite strikers. He's going to be elite. I look at his finishing ability and look at who we have behind him. I mean, I have to imagine if you're not as bad as Wout Weghorst, you're going to be scoring a lot of goals here on this team. So I'm going 20 plus. I'm all in on
20
Hoyland.
plus. You never go bullish. You never go bullish on goals.
I'm bullish on this kid. I think we overpaid per the market, but I'm bullish. So you have to comment on the overpaying as it relates to the last decade and how that has dragged us down. That's just
it's
a negative drag on United.
And it gives us less budget to spend elsewhere, right? If we keep selling players for less than they're worth, mainly because we give them too big of salaries in the first place, so it's hard to sell them, i.e. Maguire, or we overpay for a player, there's less budget to do other transfers elsewhere. Looks like last year was the summer to buy a striker, and we ended up prioritizing other positions instead of striker, even though we needed one last year. That's probably because they didn't move Ronaldo, even though the manager wanted to get rid of him. The club wanted to keep him. If they had gotten rid of him, they would have gone for somebody. Well, Hoyland did trade last summer for $15 million, and we bought him for 65 plus 10. The point is, we overpaid. That's fine. I'm bullish like you are. I think he's going to need time. But this team is cookie cutter set up for him to succeed. It is not like he's getting thrown in like 2015 Manchester United, like even Martial did with hodgepodge of Fellaini and Rooney and Carrick in his last legs. You got fucking Bruno Fernandes, Mason Mount, Casemiro behind him. You got Martinez pulling the ball, Luke Shaw on the left. You'll have Rashford just bringing defenders out wide because they don't want him to tear them apart. He is set up to succeed in this team. You'll get lots of chances. Bruno Fernandes created more chances in open play than any other player in the EPL
somebody who can open up for honestly. I
smash it in back post. How many chances last year were just somebody if at the back post would have scored 10 goals in the EPL? And I'm not even kidding. If he can do that and just be at the back post, he'll get to double digits in the EPL.
But like Freddie said, he's going to need time. We're going to have to give him time, have patience. But look, I think we did a good job on the Hoyland breakdown. A lot of stats. We got our Danish scout. Look, this is probably the biggest signing of the season, honestly. Yeah. And the way things are shaping up, we're moving for another midfielder. Romano yesterday tweeted out about Fiorentina and a midfielder,
Holland?
I would say Amrabat. I'm going to have to look up how this one's pronounced here.
Apologies in advance. All the Rockins out there.
Amrabat. Look, he's a midfielder, Fiorentina, Serie A, 26. He's a dog. I watched a lot of tape on him today. Apparently our offer is in. I think it was £27 million. But now I think a Saudi team is jumping in here as well. So keep you posted on where it's going to end up, where the player wants to go. Yeah. I jumped into his stats a little bit, watched some tape. Look, here's the thing. He's a dog. This guy runs the midfield, loves getting on the turf, loves breakdancing, jumping in for a challenge. I think there is a narrative around him, though. I went through all the numbers in the scouting report. He is a passer, an elite passer. Passes completed 91st percentile, pass completion rate 95th percentile, total passing distance 97th percentile, passes completed in medium distance 98th, pass completion rate medium distance 98th, long pass completed 99th, passes completed at long distance 99th percentile, passes in the final third 92nd percentile. His tackling stats are horrible. They are not good. The difference between him and Casemiro, this guy is a passer. The only stat really from a defensive perspective, tackles per 90, 32nd percentile. Tackles won, 40th percentile. People are calling him the Casemiro 2.0.
No,
he's not.
He's a holder.
If you look at percentage of dribbles tackled, when he does tackle, he goes down. So he is one of those things where he commits, he goes for it, but he does not tackle a lot in the game. This is the type, I actually think he is coming in to play the lower level opposition, keep the ball ticking. When United have a lot of the ball, this is the type of player Ten Hag wants to give Casemiro a blow, right? So he will replace Casemiro, but he's not that much of a defensive. If you look at Casemiro's tackling stats, all 90th percentile.
They're off the chart.
Amrabat, he passes better than Casemiro, but Casemiro can do it all. I mean, that's the difference between the world-class player. He's more of a specialist. I think he's got to bring him in, keep the ball ticking late in games, lower opposition. I think that's what Ten Hag is thinking here. But I was surprised because you see all the highlights. It's all tackles. His tackling stats are actually pretty low. It's all about the passing with this player.
And you know, it's always with a player like this who could play in a couple different positions. This is not like a Højlund where you know exactly where Højlund's playing. Like you said, you can't even play on the wing. He's going to play up front because he's a pure play number 9, and I love that because we've been calling out for that. This guy, he might play next to Casemiro. He might play instead of Casemiro. He might play in front of Casemiro, behind Casemiro. We don't know, and we're going to find out if and when we sign him and if and when he gets a chance to play in this Manchester United side under Erik ten Hag. But Erik ten Hag has a vision for him. Like I said, I've been talking about this. I'm surprised we're going after another midfielder instead of going after another striker.
But we want to deal Fred, right?
We want to deal Fred. We might want to deal McTominay. There's talk about like, hey, we want 45 million, which would be an appropriate fee given the price other players have traded this summer. 45 is actually reasonable for Scott McTominay. I'll take 45 million. West Ham, they're in for we'll see. I don't know. I think McTominay has value in this side, but if we got in our own bot, plus you have Kobe, then it would make sense, but we'll see. So there's a lot of, there's still a month left, and this team historically has done a lot of business in August. We are an August transfer window team, and we have done 3 big signings. Obviously, Højlund's not like penned official with the jersey yet, but he's basically there.
Next bit of news here on the transfer muppetry side, you got to talk about Harry Kane, his outrageous £575,000 a week.
Can't blame him, right? What's Højlund on? Oh, Jesus Christ. Holland.
Yeah, Holland's in that category. Like Holland reset, I think he's 800.
Yeah, he's like 800.
Look, it's not that much. I mean, really, when you compare it to like what quarterbacks are making in the NFL or baseball players, even, this is nothing ultimately. So is he worth it? Absolutely.
But it'd be like 20% higher than our highest paid player, 375.
Yeah, but again, if you look at how much a quarterback makes in the NFL,
I don't disagree.
It is tiers above the other positions. And there is a player that is worth the most on a team, and it would be the player that scores the most goals. Yeah. Harry Kane being in a tier of his own, and Rashford probably being that second level.
Yeah.
So again, I don't think this is outrageous. People are freaking out about it, but if you do the math on what the 575 actually is relative to how much Manchester United is making, as well as we can take the wages. Wages have never been a problem at Manchester United. It's the upfront fee. So everyone's saying we can't sign Harry Kane because the wages just doesn't know how the financials work. The wages are the easy part. It's the outlay of cash that we're going to need to sell to be able to be in the mix on Harry Kane. Also, Harry Kane's trying to make up for the bad wages he's on at Spurs because his brother got a 6-year deal that killed him. So I can't blame Harry Kane, but this shouldn't put off United. I think there's going to be a deadline day rush for Harry Kane. I think he is totally a softie. I think he doesn't want to come out. I think he's basically told Spurs he won't sign the deal.
Yep.
They're shopping at Bayern, etc. He wants United. He wants the England stay, and he's just waiting. This deal will come down to the last 2 weeks.
Last day, dude. This will be
it's going to come down to how well we can sell Magoo and Fred and McTominay. And if we can get 80 million for those clowns.
Tell me what you really think.
Fred's not a clown.
Fred's a good guy. He means well.
Magoo, you know what I'm saying? Like
I know.
The Deadwood.
I'm busting your balls.
So if you can insert players that aren't going to start.
Magoo's a clown.
If insert players here that aren't going to start or materially help us win, if we can sell them for a good amount of money and then get Harry Kane and try to win 21,
No, then you could go for
Then-
it. If everyone
yeah.
stays fit, it's like we got a fighting chance.
This is United. This is United. United always buy
I know, the
the
number
big
one. I
striker.
know.
They always buy the big striker from the rival to win the league.
But we haven't acted like Manchester United in a
I
long
know, but
time, sir.
this
It's been
is
10 years.
United.
No,
This
would be
is
it.
United business. This is how Fergie did it. Rude, Robin Van Persie. Like,
That's it.
do it. Just buy
11
it.
years ago.
Berbatov. Just go down the list. All like Wayne Rooney. Go down the list of all
Wayne
the
Rooney,
players in the league that were coming up. We bought them, veterans and youngsters. He's proven he's consistent. You had 30 goals plus Marcus and Hoyland. You're going to be fighting shitty to win the title this year. That's what I want as a Manchester United fan. I want to compete for the title. I want to try to win it. Harry Kane gets us there. Hoyland, you end the transfer window today.
No. You're
We're
third.
fighting
You're
with
third.
Newcastle.
Yeah, we are.
Maybe Arsenal for second. And that's best case scenario.
Yep.
You sign Harry Kane, you're trying to win the league. Manchester United should always try to win the league. That's why the Glazers got to go.
And here's the thing. If the Glazers do stay, which it feels like they might, there's one... it would be a pretty good way to get the fans off your back a little bit, which is like a late move for Harry Kane. I'm just saying, I see this coming next week or two. Announce that, like, hey, we're doing a minority investment with XYZ private equity group out of America, and we're doubling down, and we're valuing the club at $6 billion. They're putting $600 million in for 10% or whatever. And then everyone freaks out, protest the Wolves game, but like they sign Harry Kane. That would be, you know, you're gonna be stuck with the Glazers, but I could see that happening.
Absolutely. And looking at the Deadwood, we rejected an offer for Harry Magoo for $20 million. West Ham's going to improve that price. Nottingham Forest looks like we could be bottling the Dean Henderson trade there.
Classic.
You want to give me the Facundo news as well?
They're pushing for a loan to Boca in Argentina, not the movie. He's got to stay in Europe. Even he can't go back to South America at his age. So we'll see. That's an important one. They got to stick that loan. I mean, for me, he's a player. I would send him back to. I send him to Sunderland. Like keep a mod and send him to Sunderland. Championship, get beat up. They need a right winger. I don't know if they've replaced the mod. Actually, I don't follow Sunderland, but that would make sense to me. And speaking of another loan, sir, this guy ain't getting bought by nobody.
Real Sociedad, the Saucy Dad, are back on the pod. They're working to sign Donny Van de Beek. How much are they paying us for the £45 million
$5
signing?
million.
Absolutely
Yeah,
not.
speaking of
That's the
overpaying.
problem.
Yeah.
That's if you want to look at the last decade. You wanna
City
look
don't
at-
take no L's, bro. And if they do, they just replace it. They're not eating $45 million. If they pay for a player, they'll pay for a Grealish for $100 million, or I'm sure Holland costs like $150 million with all the back fees and side deals. But they pay up, and also like if the player doesn't work out, they cut their losses. They ship them and they buy someone else. Always.
All right, jumping into the fan questions. Quote, how do you think the transition to a new style of play that Onana brings will go? Will we have a couple rough early games like last season trying to implement Ten Hag's vision, or has the little bit of practice / preseason with him given us a solid foundation? This is at Miller KDJ talking about Onana. What do you think here?
I think it's a combo. I think there'll be some rough patches. Like I think overall it'll be a benefit. The fact that he's in, like even as of day one, I think you saw it against Real Madrid. Even though we had to change our game plan 4 minutes in with Kobe going down, but at the same time, I think there's gonna be rocky patches. Like I think he's gonna make some mistakes, give the ball away. He'll concede some goals, but overall we're gonna be more direct. We're gonna be more attacking. We're gonna be able to hold the ball better. But I think the same with Hoyland. Like he's gonna need time. He's gonna have to get used to how we like to play. Even Mount's still getting used to it. Like Mount don't look like Mason Mount that he was on Chelsea. So it's gonna take some time for all the new players to click, because we're gonna have 3 brand new starters who are all in this 11 as of the Wolves game 2 weeks from now, sir. So it's gonna take a transition.
No, absolutely. I think playing out the back, it's a lot of chemistry, knowing where people are going to be, and so this preseason in the States is going to help a lot for Onana, but he seems he's world class, so I'm not too stressed there. At M Hersey 5, quote, do you think all the player purchases are really Glazer led, or could one of the bidders actually be giving the financial backing as they work on the final details? Not sure how the sale processes work. So unfortunately, no, this is all Glazers. They own the club completely. No one can provide any financial support to them. They are a public company. Any sort of financial deals would have to be disclosed. And given we haven't heard anything from the bidders, like that Sky Cave would be like yipping if Qatar was getting close.
He's yipping when nothing's
Sounds like
happening.
Sounds like they're in the dark a little bit there, so we're going to keep you posted. I mean, when the news drops, it drops. At SSDZ11, quote, also, am I too optimistic in thinking perhaps Martial will have a decent season now all the pressure of being the number one striker is lifted? Maybe he won't stay injured if his job is to come on in the 70th minute, crossing fingers. What do you think about Martial? We talked about his stats. They're actually pretty decent if you looked at him on the per 90 basis.
He scores goals. But the serious thing about his injuries, guys and gals, is that he had 5 injuries last season. Every injury was a different injury. It was like hip, thigh, knee. Some players just have bad luck. I don't know if it's how they take training or if it's just bad luck. But either way, he's got bad luck and he can't stay fit. And this will be his last season in Manchester United. I hope he can score some goals and we could win some silverware and he can have a good farewell. But like it is his last season because he can't stay fit and you got to be able to stay fit. And that's half the battle. You can be the best player in the world, but if you miss every other game, it doesn't work.
At Sabres Car Guy 9, quote, when are we going to start selling players? I'd love to see Kane, but no way that happens now. We have too much dead weight on the roster now. Need to offload it. Martial, Fred, Maguire all need to go. We agree, and all those players would need to go, and we would have to get good money. You can add Dean Henderson to that list. We need good money for all of them to be in the mix with Harry Kane, which I hope we are, because that would help us try to compete for 21, which we need to be doing. At D_Cole18, $200 million for 3 players, including $60 million plus on a 19-year-old who doesn't have double digits. The game is well and truly gone. I'm on my knees begging the Glazers to go so we can stop getting taken advantage of in the transfer market. Quality players, though, should improve our 11. I think those two things can exist. Good players and us continually overpaying and not being able to sell. That's part of United lately, and we're hoping that everyone can turn up good, make an instant impact to Manchester United so we can start watching some good football, because we saw glimpses of it last year. We need more consistency, and we should have it with our new goalie, healthy defense, right, and a new number 9.
No, for sure. But like we talked about this earlier in the summer, anyone could buy players. When you have like 55 million, 65 million, we paid 45 for Onana, 55 for Mount, and now we're playing 65 plus
60 for Mount.
Well, it's plus 5, so it's like I'm just doing it based on like guaranteed they're gonna get that money, and then sometimes it doesn't work out that way. But I'm just saying base case. So anyone can pay all that money for these players when they're looking to sell. Selling's the hard part. Selling is the big deal. We've only sold one player of note, and that is Alanga. Everyone else hasn't traded yet, and now it's about to enter August, right? We're a day away. That's the last month of the transfer window, and we have a lot of players to sell, and we've made all the buys, but the selling's the hard part, and we are way behind there. So if we want to finance a Harry Kane deal at the last minute, it's going to have to be vis-a-vis sales. We can do it. We have players to sell, but we got to get our ass moving because we haven't been moving quick enough.
Last one here at Rolling the Deep, 1995, quote, not harping on these practice games too much. How are you, sirs, feeling as we approach that true test versus Wolves? Do you think the transition will be smooth? What do you think, Alex?
I mean, we haven't had a number 9, right? Like, I guess we'll learn more today. I don't know who's going to play today. Excuse Factory is always running. It's fucking hot as shit. It is hot as shit. The thing about Cali is that, like, it's a lot hotter at 4 than it was at 2. It is so hot in this room right now.
Or a sweat.
No, it's going to be, dude, we have 3 new starters, including a new goalie, including a new number 8, including a new number 9. It's going to take a transition to get this team firing all cylinders. But I think ultimately, like, it's not a straight line, and I think there's going to be things that we do worse and things that we do better, but ultimately we're going to be a better place than where we started last season. I don't think we're going to start the season and get blown out 4-0 by Wolves like we did last year. I think the manager knows more than he did last year about the players, about the league, about himself, but it's not going to, dude, this is not going to be like everything's clicking right away. This is still a work in progress. We bought a 20-year-old, and he's our new number 9, and he scored, like you said, 9 league goals in Serie A. So, like, this ain't like putting in a Harry Kane and saying, go to work. You know how to score goals in the EPL, because this is a step up for anyone.
No, I think you brought up a great point. The manager learned a lot in the league. I just don't think he learned a lot as it relates to preseason. I think next season we're not going to have this type of preseason, and I think this type of preseason we've had is going to lead to a rocky transition into the season. I think we've done way too much, played too many games, too much going on. The team needs to get fit, focus, rest, and be ready for Wolves. I think traveling, fighting around the world like United have done, is just too much to be able. You saw it happen last season as well. I think next year, Ten Hag, we're not playing as many games. And as he gets more influence, he could sort of push that on Arnold and the commercial side of things. But I think this preseason is going to be tough getting back to it. And I think over time, United are going to excel, but it could be a squeaky bum time against Wolves and going away at Spurs. But I think we're going to find our feet. I think Onana's going to be huge. I think Højlund's going to be huge. I think it's just going to take time for them to make the full impact, if you will. But look, it is the 2023-24 season, sir. That is it. That is the podcast. Boy, we covered it all. Preseason, talk about practice, the signings. There has been way too much business, way more business than we're used to.
Yep.
If you want to support the podcast, you like the America Red Devils, check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/America Red Devils. Keep the pod ad free, AmericaRedDevils.com, AmericaRedDevils.store for all the merch. Support us, help us here. It's sweltering in the pod bunker.
So hot.
Preseason coming to an end, sir. Give us our top 10 cities last 7 days.
Number 1, how you doing? How you doing? New York, New York. Los Angeles, California. Chicago, Illinois. San Francisco, California. Charlotte, North Carolina. Dallas, Texas. Manchester, England. Dublin, Ireland. Toronto, Canada. And last but not least, Brooklyn, New York. Appreciate all the American Devils listening week in, week out. We couldn't do it without you. Woo! Big season coming up. I don't even know, so I'm not going to put you on the spot. Do we got the preview to do next week for the EPL season? Because it is right around the corner. We are 2 weeks out. Wolves, 2 weeks from tomorrow, this being Sunday. It is coming thick and fast, but we're going to be with you every step of the way. Cannot wait for the next season. Definitely going to be a little rocky at first, but let's go. No Europa League, Champions League nights. When's the group come out? I can't wait. I'm sweating. I'm excited.
Come on, United. We'll be back next weekend. And then midweek with the season preview, sir. It's going to be a wild ride. Cannot wait. Erik ten Hag. He's leading the charge. We got some new blood. Let's go.